So she gets up and then walks to me and then like takes the microphone out of my hand.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
The show must go on. Even if the show goes wrong, the show must go wrong.
To start the podcast, first of all, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me, bro.
And the way I have it start is just, can you give like the elevator pitch of who you are for anybody out there who's watching who might not know you yet?
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? My name is Nya Yeanafehn. I'm a stand-up comedian, started in New York City. Now I live here in Berlin. I've been touring around out here in these European streets. Also, I have a podcast there, Culture Talk Podcast. You guys can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever. And yeah, doing my thing out here in Europe and trying not to get lost.
Yeah, hell yeah. So I'm first of all excited to have another American on the pod.
Am I the first? Or?
Yeah. No, that's the second, but
Okay,
still,
cool,
you
cool.
know,
Yeah, right. Can never have enough.
Can never have enough. But so the way I like to start the podcast is to ask, like, when was the last bad show that you had?
Yeah, I guess the one that comes to mind is one that I had like a solo show, and basically I was had this guy who reached out to me. I guess he thought it was going to be a spot. He was like, "Hey, can I, come and do a spot?" I was like, "Hey, it's actually a solo, but yeah, I can have you on." I forgot where he was from, but I didn't really do any background checks with this guy, so I was like, "All right." So then I did it. So then we start the show. It was here in Berlin, and then when we did the show, he wasn't good, but not only not good, but he was just very like, sexual with his jokes, but then like in a creepy way. It was no punch. Sexual jokes and no punchline is really bad, especially on stage where no one has no conversation or any that they gotta listen to it. And then there's some ladies in the audiences, so he's like, making jokes about porn and then like looking at them kind of like too long, and it's like, all right, it's like, bro, like, this is not good, yo. And it got me so mad because it's like, yo, what are you doing? Like, I just didn't know what he was doing. I'm like, yo, this is not good. And then even after the show, some people asked me, they're like, hey, yeah, it was good stuff, but like that guy, like, did you vet him? Like, did you look and see if he has to? I'm like, nah, I didn't. They're like, it had me question, like, yeah, I need to not be putting on people just like that. I need to check you out.
Yeah, well, a solo is hard too because, I mean, I feel like, comedy in general, there's it relies on like the energy, and not to be from California right now, but the vibe.
It is
of
vibe,
the room,
Yeah.
And with a lineup show, I feel like if someone comes up and does something weird like that, they're already in the mindset of like, there's another one. But if someone sets the tone with just going up and being like, titties, they're pretty great. Like,
I just be wondering, like, what do you want to do? Like, what are you trying to, Like, what do you want? Like, did you even have a want or desire before you got on stage here and said something? So that's why I be sitting there. I'm like, yo, what is it that you're looking for in this performance that you're doing here? Like, I don't get it. So,
that's brutal. So, and what was did he say anything to you afterwards?
I think I'm not sure really. It was kind of more of like, thank you, kind of like just regular stuff. But I'm just like, yo, bro, like that's not, it's
that's
to the
not
point.
Stand up.
Yeah, because people asking me like, yo, it had me looking bad because it was like, yo, you did not that. It was a bad show and that you affected the whole thesis of what this was. Cause it's like, yo, so how are you picking these people that's on your show? And I was like, man, that's a good question. I should have a standard.
Yeah.
If you're asking me, I don't have an answer. That's not good either. And this is my solo.
Yeah, which is the ultimate. Like when you're hosting you also host like a regular some lineup shows and stuff. But your solo is kind of, you're like, this is me. This is me. This is my cohesive work that I'm come to see it. So, and how did you host and then bring him up, or did he just cold open the show, or how did it?
Yeah, so I came up on stage and I hosted like a little bit or whatever, and then I brought him up as the opener. Yeah. So, it was that little bridge in between me opening it a little bit and then him doing it.
Which that's also brutal because that really feels like a cosign. You know what I mean? Like when it's your show and you have one opener, you're like, and here's one of my favorite comedians.
Bro, I didn't even know dude. So I was just like, yo, this is not.
Yeah. And when you went back up on stage, how did you deal with it? Like, did you address it? I mean, because it's awkward. Like, you don't want to like completely shit on some guy, but also, I mean, what do you gotta.
Yeah, nah, I didn't. I didn't. I just kind of went into my set or whatever. I guess maybe because, sometimes you got to sense people in terms of how they're going to take it. So, if somebody's like that and they seem like they're oblivious to the whole thing, then I'm like, all right, bro, like what I may do here on stage, you might see that as an attack rather than an acknowledgement of what it is.
Yeah,
you
right.
know? So that's like another little tiptoey thing where it's like, all right, like if you get on stage, you're like, yeah, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. You're like, if you don't know, then I'll let time and experience and, and all that to let you know.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to talk to you again. I'm not going to be there when the lesson's learned. I'm just going to be.
Yeah. What, I mean, I don't want to, call him out or something, but had he done stand-up before? Or was he coming to you saying like, hey, I do stand-up, I'd love to do a spot or something? Like, or was he more like online stuff?
No, I think he did stand-up. I think from what he had some mutuals, like some few mutuals, so that maybe that was like a thing. And also I saw like he did some shows in some other places. So he had his own show. Like it looked like he had done some stand-up comedy, but I guess I was maybe too passive of like, yeah, all right, it seemed like you in the scene, you around, this, not, whatever, yeah, hey, cool, you in town, like, it was like basically giving a spot, so to speak, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's, and how did you feel like you ended up winning back the crowd at some point, or was the vibe off the rest of the show?
Yeah, I think it was enough for it to be too, the contrast is too great for it to be like on me. I think it was more of like, I think, you know what, maybe as I hosted, I brought him up, I'm like, yeah, this guy, I don't really know him, but I think maybe I set it up in a way where I said I didn't
you
really
distance
know
yourself a little.
Yeah, because I didn't know. And then that happened. So then when I got on stage, I just kind of went into my stuff. And then, like, luckily I was good enough to where it just kind of, went forward and I was good. But then after, people were like, hey, so what was that? And even some people asked, was like, hey, so next time you do a show, will that person be here? I'm like, no. They're like, all right, cool. So, yeah, a couple people were like, hey, this should not happen again. And it's like, all right, yeah, fair. I agree. I agree.
You're like, you have a fair point there. That's a good one. So I want to talk a little bit about like what do you think goes into like a good or bad show? Because I mean, obviously you started in New York, and I mean the dynamic of like when you're starting comedy in the States is so different than here, where it's like, there are no good shows. Like it's just, I mean, you know what I mean? Like the other night we were standing outside of the wall of one of the comedy clubs here, and we kind of were talking about like American mics.
Yeah.
And you were sharing some stories from that, and I just saw like the other comedians like disbelief, and I feel like that's the thing that people over here don't realize is like over there. An open mic is like, it's half people who are like trying to do the art and then half people who have mental disabilities.
I mean, yeah, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I don't know. Yeah, the system is crumbling actually over there. So at least a place.
Yeah, it's somewhere for them to go.
Yeah, and there's some money you can monetize from it, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I don't know. Maybe, they're paying the dues.
But so for you, I mean, what do you like? How do you find the audience reaction here compared to in the States?
So I would say in the States is more direct, like in terms of like if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. So it's like kind of clear. Like there's no like, all right, if you did good, you did good. If you bombed, you bombed. And that is kind of clear.
Yeah.
And it also is clear to everybody. So there's no like, it's kind of like this is clear.
Yeah.
Whereas here it still could be, let me just say, I guess there's a lot of space for it to be interpreted as many different things, aside from it good or bad. So, like, somebody can, be like, like the common one is like, Germans don't laugh. And, after being for a while, it's like, no, Germans laugh.
Yeah. They're just not laughing at you.
Right? Yeah. It's like they laugh. They laugh. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know what to tell you. They do laugh. They do laugh.
But you do sometimes find, at least for me, it's like there's a gradient. It's like German. I've had great German audiences, but there is a type of German audience where it's like they're a little bit more shut down.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like in the States, you battle against this thing of like people wanting to be involved in the show and like heckle and, you know, are good or bad loudly reacting to what you're doing. And here, sometimes you do come across those audiences where you're like, come on, just anything. Even if you don't like it, tell me. You know?
Yeah, true. I think it's like,
hit me with a you know?
Yeah, I think it's just, you know, different cultures and things, and that, like, you know, American, like, audiences, they're going to just give, they're going to, like, there's no, I guess in terms of, like, stand-up comedy being there for a while, there's, like, it's almost like people are trained to kind of receive certain jokes because it's been through media and everything for a long time, whereas here in Europe, it's, like, in different levels in which comedy has been presented. So I'm assuming like how people even take it is going to be different. So like it creates another level of awareness you need to like be able to, you know, maneuver on stage. So, you know, again, you might talk to somebody from certain countries that they may not just not laugh at all. So you like, not I won't say not laugh at all. Let's just say in terms of how to take in a joke, it could be so many different things. It could be you might be talking fast. It could be the references ain't that, or maybe even they do think it's funny, but the way they, you know, show that is different. So that those all could be legitimate. Also, too, you could just be bombing, you know, and that's that.
Yeah.
So,
do you think you've had a bomb since you've been over here?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I like we do shows together. I mean, to be fair, also we're usually if I am seeing you perform, you're doing like a nice showcase. So it's I haven't seen you bomb, but like, so can you tell me what do you remember your first bomb when you came over here?
First bomb, probably I'm only maybe not here in Berlin specifically, but let's say if I went to like Barcelona, and again that came out of me not being aware. So like one is that I was talking very fast. I was using references that I didn't understand. You know, also too, I think I came in a little bit entitled. So like I was kind of like expecting a particular response and like really laying into it. So like that also made it look bad. So that made that bomb a little more, you know, let me say not sharper, but like it just made it more. Yeah,
it stung.
Yeah, it stung more because I had expectations. I'm like, oh, you know, like I said this, like why you guys ain't, and then it's like, yeah, because we're not. Like, all right, like move on. Like we're not. You about to, you know what I mean? You about to guilt me into like liking the shit you're saying? Like get out of here.
It's a funny comedian thing where you're like, no, this is my best joke, and they're like, well,
for you, yeah, it's like, well, for
that
you,
seems like your problem.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't even know you. Like, it's like, so like that's probably one that come to mind where, it maybe, you know, it was like, all right, I was just not aware, and I was bombing probably because I just didn't like. There's been times where I realized, oh, I'm talking way too fast. Like literally, it took me a while for me to realize, like, oh, I might be just talking way too fast, or oh, this joke is just something that the references are not there, like they don't get it, or they are sensitive to this particular subject that, you know, they freezing up.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Is like people, I mean, the good thing about being American is it's like a lot of the cultural references everybody gets because it's just like our culture was.
I wish,
you know,
there's been somewhere, there's been somewhere like I thought. I'm like, oh, I thought everyone gets held back if they don't like do good in school or something. Like that. It's like, nah, that's an American thing.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, okay, because my joke hinged on that part right there. Yeah. So you know that's why it didn't go good.
Yeah, well, I guess what I meant more was like like. You know, if you're making a reference about a musician or a movie or, you know, that kind of shit, they usually
sometimes, but the references be like, it spans too far between different things, right? So, like, you might have a reference they may not get, but they might reference something back in, like, 1994. Like, I was in Estonia, and some guy referenced Big Mama House, too. I'm like, how the fuck? If that's your reference point, I don't know where the fuck I can, you know what I mean? Like, he had some joke. He was like, yeah, like Big Mama. I'm like, yo, where? How did Big Mama House 2 end up here in
You're gonna
Estonia?
skip right over Big Mama's House 1?
Yeah,
We're
right.
going right to the sequel?
Yeah, I'm like, did you even watch the first one? You forgot to the second? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what you even. I don't know what your reference points are. That's the first thing I got from that person.
Rest in peace, Martin Lawrence.
No, he's alive.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just joking.
Dog, yo, son. What do you mean? Dog?
I don't know. You don't hear about him anymore. And he was the best. I mean,
No,
fucking Big Mama says Blue Streak. You remember?
Okay.
Like,
Yeah. I mean,
Anyway,
yeah. Bad Boys. You know, it
Bad
showed up.
Boys, of course. I guess, yeah, he did do the Bad Boys movie recently. But yeah, okay. So the references are different. So I wanted to ask. So after this bomb in Barcelona, like, do you have any strategies for dealing with that, or you've been doing it long enough that you just kind of, you can shrug it off? Because I haven't had a really dark one in a while, but I just remember I had one here a couple years ago where, like, I literally afterwards I had to go back and, like, find good sets I had and listen to them and be like, no, see, like, I am a good comedian. Like, you know. So for you, like, for that bomb, or if you have any bomb, it's like, is that something that affects you, or can you just shrug it off?
No, I guess so. Depending on what the bomb, depending on like how you came at it, how it happened, it depends. Like if it was just something that you wasn't just, you just was too, unprepared or something like that, or something you fucked up on your end. So I think it depends on like how it has happened, but yeah, you go through the motions. Sometimes you might have to go take a walk. You have to think. Sometimes let time pass, but. I think, yeah.
Have you ever done that? Like, had a bad show and then be like, I got to take a week off from comedy or something?
Definitely bombed that, like, it was hard to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely had that. Yeah, where it was like, okay, this is something I need to really, think about what I did.
Yeah. And, I guess I also want to talk about, like, some of your worst show experiences. And it's hard for me because I feel like with you, it's like you have two chapters in a way. It's like you have your U.S. chapter and then this new European chapter. So, you had this bomb in Barcelona, but like, have there been other bad shows, corporate gigs, or just, anything where you're like, ooh, that went sideways since you've been over here?
I mean, you bring up a good point about like what I experienced in New York City versus here, because nothing would really compare. Like if anything, it would be like minor annoyances, but it wouldn't be like anything in comparison, So.
And do you think that's because of the differences between the two places, or more your growth as a comedian, or some combination of both of them?
Probably a combination of both, but I would say one is just like there's just people. There's more like people like in most of these shows. So it's like that is something that you do not come across often in New York City unless you at some level.
Yeah.
And
I know this is going to shock people out there, very important for doing comedy.
Very important,
You need bodies.
You need and wherever you get them. So it could be, regular people, it could be comedians, whatever. So yeah, I mean, sure, there've been times where it's just been me and like two other people, or maybe one other person, and we just doing the mic. So like that's also something too, But as long as long as the mic that's working and it's somebody, whether it be a comedian or not, then it's like, yo. So even being out here, there's so many people that it's like, even though it may be like a bomb or some show or whatever, I'll think back to what it was before and then be like, all right, well, shit, at least there's some people here.
Yeah. And because that was one when I had done comedy in the U.S. a little bit, and then I started again when I came here, and I also got teased. Like, so I started here November 2019, and then I had to move home after 2 months. So I had like 2 months of doing mics here, and then I went back to U.S. mics. And I was like, oh, like, I gotta get back to Berlin. Like, I just remember driving into San Francisco and, like, going to these horrific bar shows and just being like, I gotta get back to Berlin. But one of the things that struck me when I got here was because I started comedy when I was, like, 22. I did it for a year. Then I quit for, like, 6 years. And then I started again here when I was, like, 29. And one of the things what during that period is like I was still a dream of mine, but I had this anxiety of like that ship has sailed. It's too late. I'm too old. This is, how you can't start at 30, do it with a comedy career, which maybe you still can't. But one of the things when I got here is I thought, oh, the fact that I could just immediately be in front of audiences, I think could be a somewhat of a hack to finding my voice faster, because you're actually getting some reflection of what the audience thinks of you and your jokes and stuff, to be able to kind of find what you're doing on stage. So I don't know how many years you were doing these kind of horrific mics in New York, but like, do you feel like were you still getting something out of that? Do you think you've progressed faster since you've been here performing more in front of audiences, or how do you see it?
That's a good question. I think for me personally is that doing those like horrific mics, it forced you to kind of know what works for you, or to like find your compass. So like, 'cause, sometimes you can have an audience in which you could do a joke and maybe a couple people laugh, that might roll into all the other laughters, and before you look, everyone's laughing out of what could be just a momentum of things, rather than if you like at a dead stop, there's comedians in a room, no one's looking at you, X, Y, and Z, you pretty much you yourself to some degree, and you trying to figure it out. It kind of forces you to develop a compass, because that's the only place. Like no one's gonna put you on the show unless they really know you. So you gotta. The mic is the only place, and on top of that, you pay money, so there's like stakes involved now. So it's not no passive. It's like I'll spend $5 for this thing, and I'm in front of my comedian friends. So even bombing in front of your friends, that's also another thing too, right? Like sometimes you might go on stage and in the room people start leaving, and you're like, all right, well, I bombed the last couple mics, so shit, So I think it does have some worth to it, because it forces you like literally to just know, all right, what is it that works and what is it doesn't? Because some jokes that may work in a room full of comedians but not in front of people, and then vice versa. So then it's just these stark realities that forces you to be like, all right, but like what internally do I think of this joke, and how do I think this will go? And it creates this confidence. Whereas like if you in front of people, I think then when there's no people, then you're kind of left to that again, or the less people, the less margins you have, or the thinner the margins you have of like laughter. So then if it's 5 people and then like the 3 out of 5 people don't laugh, then you're there alone now, and then now you gotta, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like if you got
completely,
if you got like 30 people in a room, shit, 10 people laugh, that shit might roll. Somebody might be like, they laughed, but. That's my thought. But, over time, obviously, being out here in Europe, that there's some scenes that, have like, funny comedians and stuff like that, and they develop in ways that are outside of that. So, maybe there's other ways, but I think that like mic experience is something that it just literally forces, like you have no other, you're not performing in front of more than 10, 15 people in your first couple of years. So if you want to do the stand-up thing, you're doing it in front of comedians for a long time, and you ain't got no choice. And the minute you start complaining, they're gonna be like, who are you? And then if you ain't got no answer, then your ass is banging them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
no, totally. Well, I mean, as I said, I have some experience of like what those U.S. mics were like, but
I don't suggest it, by the way. That's the whole entire thing. Yeah. So like, this is something. If I knew this existed, I would also come here. So I didn't know life like this existed. That's another thing too. So I'm saying this out of a place where I didn't know this existed until well far into me starting out, and like I didn't know this existed until like a couple years ago.
Yeah. So, well, but what I was gonna say is like, because there are some comedians here with like, who are successful, and then they'll be like, I don't do small crowds. I can't do well in front of small crowds, and I always do feel like I'm like, that's kind of part of the thing. And when you were saying that, like, you really figure out, where, how funny you are with those like 8-person crowds. I also feel like that's the real testing the metal of your show. Like, as I mentioned, or as like I did this like tour with my first, solo show.
Nice.
And a lot of the shows were like 10, 12. And it really illuminates. You're like, oh, there's like 4 good bits in here.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff that works for 40 people.
Yeah.
But when it's 8 folks, you're like, okay, that one, and the rest were kind of some awkward giggles. And
Yeah.
it really opens your eyes to like, how much do you actually have?
Right.
know?
It puts you back in that zone of like, oh shit, all right, and because sometimes you get that laughter, it rolls, it kind of takes, you gain some momentum. They boom, this joke, okay, this joke, but like you get 8 people, and like if like 2 out of the 8 people laugh, then it's like, all right, now that momentum is going downhill a little bit to some degree. You're like, all right, let me try this one. No, okay, 2.5 people laugh. All right, well, and then you're like, fuck, all right, this is at a standstill.
Yeah.
Wow, we're at less than 50% of the people here laughing. This is
And that's also, I think, a thing audiences don't understand is that, it is so crazy that one audience member can change the entire dynamic of a show in the sense of like, if there's one person who's loudly having a good time, it can be just enough to keep your head above water. And then I feel like other people hear them having fun. They're like, yeah. Right. I also want to have fun. And then they start coming along. And I always, at those shows, like on the way out, I'll like know who, and I'll be like, hey, I just want you to know, you made the show for me tonight. Like, you were my MVP.
Right,
right. So what about like, do you have a memory of? I mean, it doesn't have to be the absolute worst, but do you have a memory of like a really terrible show in the U.S. or it could be a bomb, or it could just be like the show was weird or went sideways, something like that.
Yeah, it's got a couple that comes to mind. Maybe the one that I usually, this one comes to mind is that it was like a bar show in Queens. And, the guy was hosting a show. Very funny dude. I forgot his name, man. But he was in Queens, Astoria Whiskey Bar or something. So basically it's a show where it's like a ambush show. What that means is that, people watching a game, whatever, all these dudes from like construction workers to sanitation workers, all these dudes are trying to like, not go to the wife too soon after work. And, basically it's like, all right, we got a comedy show. So, we mute the TVs, everything. We got the show going. So some people don't know what's happening. So the guy was hosting everything, killing it, doing his thing, doing good. Then I go up on stage, so I'm doing my thing. And I remember I was performing, and it was like this white lady. She started like, I guess she was drunk. She's like, ah! I'm like, what? And it's like, ah! I'm like, now talking to her, I'm like, yo, man, somebody come get their girl, man. It look like she going off the deep end. I don't know what's going on. And then she gets up, and she always like, this is like a deep bar too, right? So like she gets up off the chair, like she's on the at the counter where the order drinks. So she gets up and then walks to me, and then like takes the microphone out of my hand.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and then she started like, rah, rah, rah. So again, like this is like a short white lady too. I'm in Queens, I'm like, hey, yo, somebody come get their girl, their wife, this not whatever. She's like, rah. So then the host had to come and then get the mic out of her hand, and then it was funny. He's like, yeah, man, I'm sorry about that, blah blah. He's like, all right, man, go ahead, man. You got like about 8 minutes left. So then I had to continue as if nothing happened. Well, something did happen, so I had to talk about it, but not enough for her to come up and do it again. So it was just like,
oh, you got 8 minutes left. That's brutal.
Yeah.
And there is like a powerless thing when you're on stage and there's like a audience member like that. It's like you because there's this fine line where it's like if you get like aggressive with her and you're like, hey, take the mic back or something. It's like that you can't like be like, anyways, so like I had a weird thought today,
Yeah, you gotta address it.
You gotta address it, and you can't be like, that's the thing that frustrates me. I mean, obviously here heckling is like, so it's nothing compared to what you would deal with in the States, but like there's also an element where if you are too mean to the audience member who's like being a problem, people start being like, oh. And then you become the bad guy, and that's like a weird, that frustrates me to no end because I'm like,
yeah, it's you gotta finesse it. It depends on the audience and what you're performing, because there's some audiences where it's like, yo, rip them apart. You're like, yo, don't even hold back. Like some people get mad when you hold them back. They're like, yo, like roast this person out of here, yo. Like so, yeah, it's always touch and go. That awareness, of like what kind of audience I'm. If I'm in an audience like. Say, for example, if I'm somewhere in Brooklyn or whatever, it's all black audience or whatever, I'm in there, somebody talking or something, they're like, yo, like, fucking rip this, like, yo, air him out, yo, what the fuck, you know what I mean? This dude talking, like, yo, like, shut him up, like, the fuck, you doing? Like, this dude talking, like, you got them, they're gonna be looking at you crazy. But, like, if you in some, like, nice, like, I don't know, like, hipstery or, like, maybe, alternative, then, like, the sensibility is a little more heightened, so, like, you start raising your voice, people might, they're like, it's okay, some people need to be heard, right? And you're like, well, this is we did say at the top of the show, no talking. So,
yeah. And also, I think someone needs to be heard, and it's me right now.
Yeah, the guy with the microphone. Yeah. I know you don't like power dynamics, but I have the louder instruments.
Yeah.
So by default, I win. Shut up,
So we're gonna move on from bad shows here, but the last thing I wanted to ask was, what about? Because there's, do you have any memories of like a show where you bombed, where you bombed for an audience for the first time? Because I feel like that's also an interesting thing when you're starting is like, first you're doing these kind of small, like there's no audience, it's weird, and it's like you have a lot of kind of like bomb-esque things.
Yeah.
But the first time you're like, oh, there's like a full crowd who's been laughing, and then you go up and they're like, no. That, I don't know if you've had that, but like I remember, I've now said this already multiple times on the podcast, but Gory B, she had me on, and she had this like packed room, and I just ate it. Like I ate it, so I melted down so bad that like I had a girl in the front row like take my arm and be like, it's okay, finish your joke. And like like where you're like, oh, you're pitying you feel like you need to mother me right now. Like that's
fuck that,
and that was like that was so jarring because it's like okay, I bombed at Valentine for 8 people, but it's like, oh, I just bombed for 50 people who bought tickets.
Yeah.
That's a different
tough
emotional experience.
It's tough. Yeah.
Did you ever have a moment like that or a show like that went sideways for you?
I mean, of course, yeah. I'm trying to think of. I mean, there's many in terms of it going sideways. Like, for example, if I was thinking back in New York City, like, used to be this show that I used to co-host with a guy named Dave Lester, very OG dude, very funny or so, and it's like this spot was like notoriously difficult. Like you had to come in hot. They ain't give you no leeway of like, oh well, maybe if you got like boom. So, and the thing is about certain audiences is that you got to have new jokes all the time. So you can't, the shit you did last week, you got to do something new.
Yeah.
So imagine you co-hosting this thing. So you every week you got to come up with something new.
Yeah.
So like for example, I'll be on stage doing something. There's been like a few times where like, or one time where I did it, and like they got, sometimes like people from like say in Brooklyn, they gotta look at you. They look at you kind of like, word, like, yeah, well, that wasn't it, bro. Like, you know what I mean? That wasn't it, man. I mean, I don't know what you're trying to do, but that shit wasn't it.
Yeah.
Like the way they looking at you, and it's just like, damn, yo, So either that or sometimes I'll have to basically anytime like bomb it after someone who like really killed it, because then it's just very clear that it's like this ain't the audience now.
Yeah.
It's like everyone, most of the people in this lineup, they're good except for you. So that's, it's on you. So I would say like that experience in terms of like this spot that I did where like, I'm coming up there, I'm doing the jokes where I thought it was going to work, and, they just looking at you like, they're just silent. And that it wasn't silent before you got up on stage. That's the thing. And and the thing is, they're looking at you like you fucking up. Like they telling you via their eyes you're bombing.
Yeah. That's one of those are like the longest minutes of your life, where it's like you're speaking, but you're your internal monologue is also
Yeah.
going. You're like, oh shit, okay, so they
Right.
didn't like that. What's the next one?
Yeah.
You're like, I feel like I'm sweating. I hope they don't notice how much I'm sweating right now.
And then you bomb me, get off stage. Nobody want to shake your hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No one wants to even make eye contact
At all. Don't
Yeah.
don't touch me. You bomb.
Yeah.
I don't even want that. I don't even want that residue on me. You know what I mean? I don't want that. What happened on stage on me? You know?
Yeah. I wanted to shift gears a little bit and ask also, have you had any moments in your career? How long have you been doing comedy actually?
About around 9 years now. Yeah.
9 years. And have you had moments where or things that came up with doing comedy where you felt like, oh, holy shit, this is gonna be like a break
Of
or
course, yeah.
a thing, and then I guess, was it a break, or because I guess what I'm trying to get at is what I've been struggling with over the last year is like I started having some things happen, and then you're like, you start letting your imagination go a little wild, and you're like, oh shit, okay, so here we go. Now things are gonna start to pick up and change, and then they happen, and you're like, oh, I'm kind of still just doing the same shit. So have you had either a break that you can look back on and be like, oh yeah, that really changed the trajectory of my career, or something that happened where you're like, oh, I thought this was going to be a big deal and it was not a big deal, or the opposite way, like something that you thought was going to be nothing but actually changed your career, your trajectory?
Yeah, I mean, that's the, I guess, the business. I guess, in terms of thinking this one thing is gonna really set the tone. Maybe I don't have anyone specific in terms of something I thought was gonna be a break, and then because I've seen other people like that went through that process, and then that wasn't the break. It's like, for example, somebody that did like Just for Laughs or something.
Yeah.
And then thinking like, oh shit, okay, they on Just for Laughs, just like all the other people, OGs who did it back in the day. You're gonna get some TV deal, or you're gonna get something else, and then they're doing the same mic with you or something. So you kind of like, all right, well, you did late night TV, and we're doing a show at a hostel now or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're like in front of 4 people. So I don't know what this means in terms of what I thought. Or somebody get into this club, you're like, all right, cool. Like, and then after a while, you're like, all right, well, So I think early, especially in New York City, where you see like you're in proximity with so many very funny and like, people that are on their way up, that you see through them and through your interactions, like, oh, I thought it was gonna be the big break, but like they're sitting right next to me.
Yeah.
And maybe, that's not the big break. Or another thing of like, all right, well, I thought it was not something that didn't think it was gonna be a big break, but now it is. And maybe I'll say this whole entire experience of traveling out here, like going to Barcelona. Well, actually, it started really going to Edinburgh. Going to Edinburgh and then seeing like how people was performing, and then that just kind of ticked something in my brain like, yo, all right, performances out in Europe, that sounds dope. Maybe think about that, and then coming with Alex, and then going to these places, and ended up here in Berlin, which was random, and then meeting the right people in Paris that helped me, here in Berlin. So like I would say those are some of the breaks that like I didn't see coming.
Yeah, you didn't plan when you were like, hey, I'm gonna go on this tour in Europe. It wasn't like, oh, and I'm gonna make a whole new life there.
Not at all. Like, bro, I didn't even think so until I met the right people. It was like, hey, so when are you gonna move here? I'm like, what do you mean? And then they tell me like how to get the artist visa, and then like with Tara, she told me about like how to get the appointments and everything. And then so it was like that. Those things where I'm like, wow, I would have never expected that. Or maybe doing like this one guy in Estonia, his name is Sander Wiegers, that when we were doing Alex and I was doing a mic or something in Paris at like I think La Palme Dev or something, and he saw us. He's like, "Yo, man, I think y'all really funny. Like, if you come back to Europe, I would love to have you guys in Estonia. I can fly you out." And we're like, "All right. I mean, I don't know Estonia. That sounds like you about to kidnap us or something like that.
This sounds like the start of a horror film. But
yeah, I'm like, Estonia, what? But like that dude actually followed up. Like, he was actually on the phone. He actually flew me out. Yeah, he flew me out to Estonia, and then like I was opening for him around in Estonia, and then he put set up a show. So like things where I'm like, oh, we doing a mic, doing a thing, and this dude just remembered.
Yeah,
or even like I won't even say breaks, but things you just like, oh, connections, like Teddy Hall. I remember like the first time I did comedy in out in Europe in London. I remember the first time I saw him out here in Berlin. He's like, oh yeah, remember? He's like, yo man, 6, 7 years. I'm like, what? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit. I'm like, I didn't even. Oh, I was like, that's crazy. So yeah, those are some moments that come to mind in terms of like things where I expect for it to be a break, and then it was a break.
Yeah, that's actually a good. I mean, just talking about it with you right now, I'm realizing it's like actually I feel like that's so from at least from what I can tell, it's like that's so much more of what a career in the arts is the things you didn't think were going to be anything, and they're also almost all connections, as you said. You know, it's not like a ooh, I got booked for this thing, or oh, I got accepted to this festival. It's like, oh, I met this dude and we hit it off, and then actually it turns out later, they got me XYZ or whatever. And I want to like talk a little bit about your like creative process, so to speak. I mean, do you have like a way that you like approach joke writing, or even content creation, or whatever, like systems at all, or do you just kind of let things come to you?
Yeah, sort of. It kind of flows, like content creation. Sometimes it's just an observation, things that come to mind. Like if I'm the person where like if I just see it, sense it, I just kind of just do it then or whatever. Sometimes I just stare at a wall and then just an idea comes, like and then just put it down, write it. So yeah, I would say it's very dynamic sometimes. I write as well, like when it comes to me in terms of what I'm doing, or record these thoughts that I have. I might be sleeping, that shit comes to me. I'm like, oh shit, all right, yeah, like da 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 da. Or I just think back to some moments. I'm like, oh shit, like I write it down. So I would say in terms of content creation, that's how it really comes about. Like it's just literally things I've just observed, and I just be like, huh, and then just talk it out. Literally, just like, all right, let's just
start filming and see what comes out with the different takes or whatever.
Yeah, so most of the videos are just literally I sit down, I'll be typing, I'm like, then just turn on the camera and just like and then just like put it out there.
Yeah. And do you have any like things that you do to try to that set you up to succeed? Could be for writing jokes or making videos, could be like pre-show what you like to do. I was just thinking about it because I've been off my being healthy thing, and I'm trying to get back to it. So I went for a run this morning.
Nice.
And I was just like thinking through my set, and like I thought of 3 new tags on the run, and I was just like, I forgot, like when I first started running was like a huge part of my writing process, was like, oh, when I run, I think about the jokes, I get ideas, I get home, I write them down. Right. So do you have anything like that, or stuff that you feel like you need to do before a show or something to set you up to succeed?
Yeah, I would say definitely health is important. So making sure keeping healthy, working out. So that's like really, I would say probably the biggest undercurrent, like just working out and eating right. I know it sounds cliche or whatever, but it is that it just sets the baseline for anything else to happen in a better way. Because you're well rested, you're in shape. It's not whatever, you're not like bogged down. So that helps out like a lot. Second, in terms of just maybe the process of performing, is just knowing where I'm trying to go. Like what is it that I'm trying to do? That I think I asked that question before, because sometimes I be seeing people, or I be I'm like, yo, what are you trying to accomplish? Like what do you want to happen here? Like do you even know? Because I mean, laughing is it's a consequence of like you doing something, but like what is it that you want? Yeah. I can throw this glass and bang it on my head. Someone's gonna laugh, but is that what I want? Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think either Louis C.K. or Bill Burr or something, or Patrice O'Neal, I'm not sure, one of the 3. They said that just knowing how you want it to, like where you want it to go in terms of like you said, like all right, like the beginning, and know where you want it to end and how you want it to end, and then in between you be able to figure that out, which that takes some confidence, and just and then just really being in tune, being like sensible with what's going on, not being afraid of like where it can possibly go, which that's my style, I would say. Some people obviously have things that like, all right, here's what I'm gonna say. So I think also just being comfortable, which that takes time, I think. That definitely takes time. Being comfortable with your own process, and like just being confident in it, which that takes a lot of that. That's where the time comes in.
Yeah.
Because you first start, you don't know. You literally don't. You like, you doing, which is not bad. It's just you trying to figure it out. But then over time, it's like, oh yeah, but for real though, this is what has helped me get to where I'm at now, and that has been proven by my experience of like moments through time.
Yeah.
So then somebody go like, oh, I do this, or you need to do this. It's like, you may need to do that. I probably don't have to.
Yeah.
And that has been proven through moments and shows and sets in which things worked out for me, or the way I get my new jokes. You might, you running, you get new bits. Nobody can take that away from you. Somebody can be like, no, you need to sit down on a table, 90-degree angle, and da-da-da. You be like, all right, maybe for you, but I literally came up with new tags running. That is what it is.
Yeah. Well, you also touched on something there that I think you're like, I mean, I think you mean comedically, like, what is your plan? Mm-hmm. But you touched on something there that I think is sometimes feels like an issue, maybe more here in the Berlin comedy scene, where it's like, also it feels like sometimes people, it's like, what is your career goal? And I mean, it is an art form, and you should be like, I think, thinking about it in that realm. But also you should have a game plan, or like what you want to happen, or where you want this to go for yourself. So for you, like, your wildest dreams, or your medium dreams, whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah, modest,
I mean, like, because this question actually comes from the first episode I recorded with Steph. Mm-hmm. She was like, what would you want? And I had never really thought about it. And it was like, oh, I mean, ultimately I want to tour so that I can keep like writing new hours and doing material. And then I was like, oh, and the other thing, and I had never realized this before, is like, the thing that would make me feel accomplished is just, and this is kind of lame, but is like to get to go on like the podcasts of the people who I always like looked up to, and or always listened to their podcast and loved their shit. And it was kind of a actually defining or crystallizing thing for me to be like, oh right, okay, so this is what I want, and so now how do I get there? But so for you, when you think about like your future, you're starting to tour your solo show, you're doing some more dates in the fall. What do you hope or dream for?
Yeah, I mean, definitely tour, perform a lot, talk with interesting people. Also, being able, this sounds so funny, but be able to just work out consistently every day, at least 6 hours every day, not 6 hours, so 6 days out of the week, which is very specific, but I really like working out. So like, my dream is to like be able to tour and have a hotel where it has like an indoor gym, and I'll be able to wake up in the morning and work out for at least 1 hour every day. That would be the number one marker of like success. Like, I want to be able to get into a hotel and I can wake up and there's a weight room that I can go into that I can work out for at least an hour every at least 6 days out of the week.
And that you're successful enough that you're staying at a hotel that's nice enough to have.
Yeah.
As someone who stayed in a lot of hostels on his tour.
Right. So,
my goal is I'd love to sleep alone.
That too. Yeah. Also too, like, link up with friends too as well. Like, that has been happening recently. So like, some people that I've opened for recently that, these have been people that I knew in New York City. So just being able to connect, be like, oh shit, you out here, go get some food. We talking, just enjoying like a new experiences out here. So just having that, also being able to just visit family and, also perform. So like basically just a cadence of like day-to-day things in continuance. And
can I ask, so, you want to work out 6 days a week. What is the thing that's, at this point in your career, the thing that's stopping you from that is just that there's so much work to do, where it's like logistics, content, travel, that like sometimes that has to fall away?
I definitely do my best. I mean, that's like number one priority for me. So like, if anything, that gets higher priority, because that like sets a baseline for everything. I'd say what's stopping that is just literally me going to places that I haven't been to. So like I don't know. Like there's some places I'm going to in this fall I've never been to. So it's like I don't even know how to really even get there, to be honest. So like I need to figure this out and have that, dealt with, and I'm doing it on my own. So like, all right, I'm going to these places. I've never been there. I don't even know, I gotta get the hotel. I don't even know how it should, look like, even like the logistical things, right? Even how things may turn out there, because each place is different. So I think that's what's stopping me. That's what's stopping it in terms of like just not knowing where I'm going from a logistical standpoint. Like yes, iron everything out, but I've never been there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, I'm playing this now when it's warm. It's gonna be cold by the time I get there. How jackets, this, bus, train. There's a ferry now. These things where it's like, can I get there by these transportation, plane? Who I'm staying with? Is there a person? I don't,
Yeah. Well, dude, we got to get you out to your doctor's appointment, but thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
I really
thank you, bro.
appreciate it. As I said, I don't know exactly when this is going to come out yet, but anything you want to promote again before we take off?
Yeah. So, guys, you can find me on Instagram, Nya Yeanafehn, Nyamean. Also, too, I got the Third Culture Talk podcast. That's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And I'm gonna be touring soon out here in Europe, so come check me out. You can find everything on that Instagram, Nya Yeanafehn, Nyamean.
The links to all of that will be in the description of the episode, and this will come out before you're on the road in the fall, so maybe we'll also have some links to seeing him live. I assume you also have like an email
email
list.
too.
Sign up for his email list.
That'd be dope.
So you can find out when he's going to be performing near you. Thanks, dude.
Thank you very much, bro.
The show must go on. Even if the show goes wrong, the show must go wrong.